Garcia, one of the shoulder and sports surgeons here at Orthopedic Specialists of Seattle. Today we're going to show a video testimonial. This is a older gentleman that had bilateral shoulder pain, and he had continued issues with his shoulders. He was losing range of motion, initially told he might have a frozen shoulder, and then found out to have bilateral shoulder arthritis. Unfortunately, he also had rotator cuff injuries, so he was unable to get very much motion back. And so we talked about shoulder options. The problem you have is you always get concerned about doing shoulder replacement on both sides, especially if it's a reverse shoulder replacement. But some newer technology we have where we can put the shoulder stems a little bit lower can increase our overall results. And you can see from him, he did quite well. We did this in a staged fashion and he's done excellent and also worked very hard with his PT. So enjoy the testimonial. Thanks.
Discovered early on, probably about 2015, that I was losing all range of motion and ability to do normal work, physical and otherwise, with my shoulders. And the pain was obvious enough that my wife decided to ask me if there was anything wrong. I realized we had to get serious about that. I was lucky enough to have a recommendation for a surgeon down in Seattle named Dr. Garcia. And boy, am I glad that happened, because when I went to see him, and he advised me not to be ready for surgery, but to understand what the problem was first before we made any decisions, because alternative activities might have been in the works. But when he took one look at what was really wrong with me from a medical point of view, he said, well, you're a good candidate for this. And I'd hoped that he would be willing to take me, and he said he would. And that was a real relief for me. When he analyzed my problem and said that I had shoulder arthritis, I then had a handle to explain that to people, particularly to myself. So I started doing research on it and realized that the reverse shoulder operation was probably one of the more serious approaches and probably one of the most potentially successful ones. And I had the guy who could probably do it better than anybody in the country. And I just discovered that through reading his background. I decided to listen more intently and read up more intently about what exactly that meant and how the recovery process would take place and what the surgery procedure would involve. And I needed 2 of them. And that was something that had to be scheduled, and they were able to explain to me when and how that was going to take place. So instead of being confused, I was just exposed to the entire procedure in very logical step-by-step order. After the operation, I felt no pain at all, and I was warned that I wouldn't because of the excellent medical approach that they took to the operation. After a few days, those wonderful drugs wore off, and I was ready to consider physical therapy. While it wasn't painful, I realized that my range of motion was still a long way from being normal, and I had to focus on the physical therapy approach. That's not a problem for me. I've been used to that kind of thing, having played sports and had injuries and know how to recover from them. So after the first one was done, I was totally relieved in the sense that I was confident that the physical therapy that he had prescribed and directed me towards would solve my problems, and I could get ready for the second one. Expectations were, I was just hoping I could be normal. Little did I know what I meant by that, other than to think that I could, recover my youthful range of motion, which was not something I expected. But I've been in physical therapy now for almost a half a year, and I've got my range of motion back wonderfully, and I was able to do it in degrees without rushing it. It's a marathon, it's not a sprint race, that physical therapy. So it really makes me feel wonderfully recovered. Now all I have to do is focus on gaining my strength, and that's really all up to me. I have to go in 4 to 5 days a week. I want to go in 45 days a week so that I can recover that strength and get back to kayaking, playing golf, and the normal yard work that I have to do.
Would you recommend this to somebody?
I would recommend Dr. Garcia for this if you're going to do it. I don't know if I would recommend it blatantly. You got to get a guy in his skills to do this. If this thing is something that's important to your future, you need to have the best at it, and he's the best there is.
Other side too.
1,
And then go behind your back.
3, 4.
Good, relax. When was the last time you were able to do this?
5 years ago.
Let's ask the wife. That's
It's
always
more
important.
like 10 years ago.
Are you happy with this?
Oh, enormously. He's gained so much youth and strength back that he lost for years.
And look at him now.